demonstrate a squat. I told you that squat video was coming, so we're just gonna go over regular old squat, AKA back squat. So we'll talk about some of the differences that we do here for sports performance or athletic performance versus what you're gonna see in some of these typical videos where it really stems from more of a kind of a powerlifting type background. So I had Bergen come along. She's actually been training the strength lab for a long time. It's kind of crazy. As a young athlete, you know, she wasn't super confident with the squat, so she's a really great example of somebody who's kind of gone through that journey of getting comfortable under the bar and then being able to really achieve a really good looking squat. So it's not just somebody who's, oh man, natural at squat, Chad, and she's always been good, so you used her in your video. Actually, it's really the opposite. You know, as a younger athlete, she had some of the issues that we're going to talk about later and that I kind of touched on in the box squat video with the knee cave and the rounded back and things. And now we've come all the way full circle to a really good looking squat. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through everything I look for in a beginning lifter or even maybe an adult lifter that comes to me, and we're just going to kind of clean some things up. So back squat coming at you. When I train athletes, what I like to do is I like to build the squat from the top down. You'll see a lot of these things I do with some of these lifts and kind of from the ground up, work with hands first, then go to feet, move really head to toe. So on this one, I like to work from the top down, hand placement first. A lot of athletes just don't even know how to get under the bar. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna kind of go through one of these, and I'm gonna start with like our normal progression here. So she's gonna go ahead and get her hand placement. She's pretty much right outside shoulder width. She's gonna go ahead and pull under the bar. She don't have any problem with external rotation or anything, so she can get this nice tight grip. Her elbows are down. She's got a good high bar position, which we're gonna talk about here in a second. So Bergen's gonna go ahead and unrack it for me. She's gonna be head up. She's gonna get that big air, and she's gonna give me one. Let's take a look at it. And she can put that away. So it's a good looking squat. All we're checking out here is that hand placement, high bar, and where she sits through to hit that squat. We're gonna take a look at that one more time. Again, we're gonna start with the hand placement. She's gonna get her good hand placement to where she wants it. Nice width there. She's gonna pull underneath the bar, right on those traps, right on the meaty part there. She's gonna get that thing out of the rack, nice and tight. She's gonna take that big air, and she's gonna give you a big squat. This time I'm gonna talk about spread the floor with your feet. Really spreading the floor, sitting back just slightly, put that away. Now, what I do with my athletes, I know sit back is the common cue. What tends to happen, I see with kind of beginning lifters or even people that's not super familiar with their body or what they do in a squat, typically what happens if I say back, 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 sit back, I get this, boom, your butt goes back, you get this pinch in your spine, and immediately you get this anterior pelvic tilt. Now through the squat, you have this weird gymnastics butt looking squat, right? So I've kind of changed that up just for my own style with just what I've experienced with working with these athletes. Just tell them, just sit like you're gonna sit in a seat. Just sit versus sit back, back, back. If ever you come out to sit in a seat, if I say, hey, just sit in a seat, nobody goes and then sits in a seat. It's just generally butt goes back and you sit in a seat. So that's kind of how I cue that. So if you wonder why I just say, hey, sit to a squat versus sit back, 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 that's a lot of the reasons why I coach it that way. It keeps that kind of butt from jetting out there, and then you don't have those issues, kind of that hyperextension through the spine as you get into the bottom of that squat. So that's why I do that one that way. So let's keep building on it. So we're gonna do another one of these. She's gonna go ahead and get her hand placement. She's gonna pull under the bar. Again, nice high trap position, elbows down. She's gonna unrack it. Take that 1 or 2 steps out. She's got a nice solid position here. Now foot placement for my lifters are generally a little bit narrower than what you're gonna see in a lot of these kind of videos stemming from kind of a powerlifting thing. Again, now if they're a powerlifter, by all means, you want that. But that stems from the competition itself. So what I want is a little bit narrower stance, not crazy narrow, just a little bit narrow. That's actually gonna progress well to some of the Olympic lifts or a front squat. It's more of an Olympic stance versus more of kind of a power stance. Same thing with the bar position in a high bar versus low bar. I really don't want a low bar because she's not really gonna cast forward too much. So as she squats through that, she's gonna give me a big old squat now that I had her stand there for a while with it and stand back up. Beautiful pause squat, we're gonna put that away. So again, you saw a nice flat back, chest is up, she's spreading the floor through her entire foot. Both feet are pushing hard through the floor. Now I will cue weight over heels, butt over heels, which is really gonna help when we get down the road towards a front squat, because you're gonna see how you really sit over those heels and you get that nice front rack position, front loaded, keeping that weight right neutral over the heels as we go back. That will progress real well to that. So with the back squat, I do the same thing. Hey, sit through your entire foot, spread the floor real hard. Now again, you'll hear me say, hey, weight on your heels, weight on your heels. But really what I want you to spread your feet like a hand and push the floor apart is what we're looking at in that squat. So Bergen, hop under there one more time. She's gonna get that hand placement. She's gonna pull under the bar, there we go. She's gonna unrack it, nice and tight through the setup. She's gonna get her big gulp of air, give me a good squat, and good looking squat right there. No butt wink, no rounded back, chest is up, feet are in contact with the floor, spreading the floor the entire time. That is a good looking back squat. All right, so in that last video, I talked a little bit about some of the common faults, some of the common issues that we see in the squat. So I wanna go over one real quick that you'll see, and then maybe some things that we can do to correct it. It's probably gonna be one of the easier ones to tackle, and also probably one of the most common. So rounded back, casting forward, canting forward, losing air, not filling that tank, resulting in kind of leaning forward on the toes and casting forward. So Bergen's gonna give you your best shot at a bad squat here. Good thing is these guys have been squatting so well, so long, that it's hard to get a bad one out of them. So she's gonna go for that squat. One, her head's already down, which is bad out of the gate. And she kind of casts forward, and her back's gonna round as she comes back up. Come on back up. There we go, she's gonna put that away. So you'll see that a lot in lifters where they round out, they fall forward. Really what we're looking at there is just a loss of core stability, a loss of midline through that squat. The hips, the glutes are gonna rise faster as the chest falls forward. Really what's happened there is the hamstrings have lengthened and you're no longer getting that good glute hamstring activation in conjunction with the quads. Your butt comes up. Now you're just relying on those spinal erectors and some of those other muscles to just help save that squat and get you out of there. It's really bad for your back. One of the common ways to fix that is gonna be, one, obviously, strengthen the core. You can do a lot of different core work, abdominal work. One of the other great ones is farmer's carry. Farmer carry, anytime you're kind of walking through that farmer's carry, you're actually firing that entire core right through there and really working on staying stable. We use that one a lot here. We use that farmer's carry as that kind of tool. It's not just kind of a conditioning tool or maybe your conventional strength tool that you would think of it. We use a lot of this core and stability through that lift. Strengthening the glutes and hammies with something like a box squat is also gonna help with that. So that's gonna be how we address that one. As I touched on in the box squat video as well, the big guy in the room probably is gonna be that knee cave, right? So a lot of times you get those lifters with the weak hips and you get that knee cave right out of the gate. So Bergen's gonna do her best once again to show me a good squat here with knee cave. Show me a good example of a bad lift, right? So that's what we're looking at. As she goes to squat, what's gonna happen, weak hips are gonna cause those knees to come together and all the way through that squat. She's actually done a pretty good job of pushing them apart there at the end. So let's see one more. Those knees are gonna come together as you do your eccentric position, and as she comes back up, they're gonna stay together the whole way through. She's gonna put that away. You guys will recognize that when you see it. You see it a lot in videos. It's one of the things that prompted me to kind of start this video series in the first place, is you see that and it goes uncorrected. So that's one of the things we really got to correct right out of the gate. You see a lot of athletes walking around high schools nowadays on crutches with ACL injuries and things like that. That's going to be one of those things that causes that. That's going to be one of those things that leads to that, is really being quad dominant. Everything else is overpowered. The hips are weak and you kind of get into that position. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things that we can do to start correcting that right out of the gate. A great exercise for strengthening those hips and really getting stronger through that squat, preventing that knee cave, is something that it's going to cost you $6 online on Amazon or else to get a band, or come into a gym like this and do it with a band. It doesn't take a lot of fancy equipment. What I want to do is we call these banded side steps. She's going to step on that band and she's going to kind of twist it to get a little bit of the slack out. You can kind of adjust that resistance as needed per lifter, right? So she's gonna get a nice good resistance on hers because she's been doing this for a while. And then she's just gonna step, 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 step. Nice sitting back position, really working that through. They're gonna burn. By the time she gets about 10 yards, those hips are gonna be burning. And you can stop on that. So that is a great exercise for strengthening those hips. Banded or otherwise, you can actually do those side steps without the band. Matter of fact, Bergen, go ahead and show me a couple going that direction without the band. So it's the same concept. She's gonna push back. And you can see how much deeper she was able to get. Really activating that through there, getting that burn right there. That is a great exercise. You don't even need the band. You're just really working those hips, really working that position, getting that burning. That's a great exercise you can do to correct that. So a great progression for that. I always like to start with the side steps, maybe move up to a banded side step. And then what you're gonna do is we got these banded squats. Great exercise, especially for young lifters. It helps them stay conscious, for one, of keeping those knees apart, keeping those knees over the feet, helps you spread the floor, and you have to be conscious of that and make sure that your knees stay out. Otherwise, that band's gonna pull them together and they're gonna cave even worse than they normally do. So fighting against that resistance is a great cue and a great reminder, as well as a strength builder, because you're fighting against that resistance. So let's kind of see one. She's got that band right above her knees, kind of the low thigh area. Same as always, she's gonna get that great position, hand position, on her trap. She's still gonna take that big gulp of air. She's gonna go through that tire squat, and she's really gonna push those knees apart hard, hard, hard through the entire lift, fight that resistance, and then we can put it away. You can do those for singles, sets of 3, sets of 4. You can work those into your program every single time. You can use those as a nice little bit of warm up, work it into your mobility set as you're warming up. If you notice she's done that with an empty bar, there's never anything wrong with working that out through an empty bar. Before I have Bergen go through a set of 3 here, just kind of like I done on that box squat video, I'm gonna have her go through a set of 3, let you see what that looks like as a 1, 2, 3 set. You can see them kind of linked together there. You'll see everything that she's supposed to do right, checking off all those boxes, going through it. Before I do that, I just want to touch on, again, guys, gals, you don't have to hit maximal effort lifts every single time you go into the gym. In fact, rarely do you need to hit those. When I do my program, if I do an 8-week block of programming, those athletes are probably gonna hit somewhere close to a 1 rep max, if not a 3 rep max, to get some baseline numbers. We can work percentages off of those numbers. That's the purpose of that. And then they won't touch that again. They won't even come close to that again until probably the end of that 8-week block, just so I can see the progress, so that they can see the progress. If you're trying to constantly train with maximal effort lifts, one, your technique is gonna be pretty ugly probably. The second thing is you're begging for an injury, and there's just not a lot of bang for your buck there. You can get a lot stronger and progress through the lift technically sound. You can get better at the lifts by working in those sub-maximal percentages down in there, in those rep ranges that are safe for you, in a load that's safe for you, and really just work on building a solid foundation. You can build a solid foundation, you can pile the weight on later. So every one of these videos, we're always using lightweight, but I can tell you as these lifts get heavier and heavier and heavier, some of these lifters, their technique stays solid. Your technique shouldn't change from a super light lift to a heavy lift. Once that technique goes out the window and your form starts to crumble, you're done anyway. You shouldn't be hitting ridiculous ego lifts with god-awful form. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have Bergen go ahead and get under the bar. She gets that hand placed, and just check that box off. She's pulling under. She's got a nice high bar set up there. It's sitting right on those traps. Her elbows are in nice and tight, pulling into her rib cage. She's gonna fill that tank with air and give me a good squat, spreading the floor. Beautiful. She comes up. She's got another big gulp as she sits through that squat, spreading the floor, and then set again with another big gulp all the way through, holding it, holding it, holding it, and now she breathes it out as we put the bar away. Good looking lift right there. So you can see that as a 1, 2, 3. If we'd done that for 4 reps, if we'd done that for 5 reps, if we load the weight up and she hits that for a single rep, it's gonna look the same every single time. If it doesn't, we recognize what went wrong, where the fault lies, we strip some of the weight off, we go back and we correct that. If it's one of these things like the knee cave, we say, okay, we're gonna incorporate some of our side steps, maybe some banded squats into our warm up, or maybe even some of our accessory lifts. That's how that should be done. It's not about how much weight can I pile on the bar and impress my buddies. It's about what kind of lifts can I do with solid technique in order to train my body to be a better football player, a better swimmer, a better cross-country runner, a better midfielder, whatever it may be. Again, it comes down to I need to train, not just work out. So that should be a pretty good representation of squat. We'll touch on front squat here coming up soon. I might just incorporate that into the Olympic lift kind of stuff because that really lends itself well to the Olympic lifts. If you don't have a good front squat, you're gonna have a hard time hitting some of those Olympic lifts. So I might link that one together with the Olympic lift and go on to maybe some of the other lifts. But again, we've hit now box squat and now a pretty good back squat.